Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Boardmasters with me, Chris Mullins. And today I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while, obviously since the Everdell Collector's Edition was on Kickstarter last May, and it's popped into my consciousness a few times, like with a few things we'll talk about, the Honeybuzz expansion that hit Kickstarter in the autumn, and then it probably came back into my consciousness over the last week after watching Board Game Co.'s video about upcoming Kickstarters 2022. And I'll get into why going forward. But I guess if you've seen the title, I guess the video is going to be about why should I bother backing games on Kickstarter or GameFound, any sort of crowdfunding, if there are plans for expansions, if it's not an initial all-in, because it seems like early adopters, maybe, if certain trends continue, are maybe hit harder than those that jump in at the last minute and get a far bigger reward. And that is very, very evident with what's happened with Everdell over the years. Obviously, it's a beautiful game. It's a game I own. It's a game I really enjoy. Not criticising the game in any way, shape, or form. But going back over the sort of campaigns, if you go back to the very first campaign, if you want to get hold of the Everdell Collector's Edition, you're looking at $65 plus shipping, which is fair. Then the first expansion came out with Pearlbrook, and that was $39 if you wanted the expansion, or $104 for both. So again, fair. Same prices, no one's losing out, everyone's getting the same thing. It's just that you will have paid two shipping prices if you've gone for the original campaign and the second, but the shipping price may have been cheaper for just the expansion. So although you're probably paying a little bit more, you have had the benefit of having the game. Then Spire Crest and Belfair came out, and again similar. If you want both expansions, $64 or more. If you want everything, $168. So again, everything is tracking in terms of the prices. It's just the shipping costs again that will hurt slightly for the early adopters. But again, they've had the benefit of having the games for all that time. But then we got to the campaign last spring, where they announced the two new expansions, the big box and the complete collection. And so if you wanted just the expansions, it was $60 or more. So onto the $168 you may have already spent, that's $228. If you want the big box as well, that's another $39. So you're looking at $267 plus the four additional shipping costs. So you're probably well over $300 at this point. If you've backed everything Everdell through each of the individual campaigns, but for those who have just jumped in on the collectors, they're getting everything for $199 plus one shipping fee. So they're probably getting everything $100 cheaper than the loyal backers, the people who have continued to support the game throughout its development, throughout its life cycle, which has enabled the game to be successful enough to have so many expansions. And yet they're being slapped in the face, really. And I know it's one of those where I ignored this campaign because of that. Because quite honestly, the only way it's justifiable for me, and I only have the base game, was to sell the collector's edition of the base game that I have, try and recoup most of the costs that I spent, and then back this, and I'd still probably be better off. For those who have got 1, 2, or 3 of the previous expansions, again, it's probably better for them to sell it off and back this, but that's a huge amount of effort, particularly in the UK, or certainly in Cornwall in the UK, where we don't really have game shops, we don't have a big board game community. Trying to sell anything on Facebook, board game wise, can be a nightmare down here, unless you're looking at your monopolies and things like that. So it just seems like, why would you bother being an early adopter? Unless, obviously, if the game is only just funding or close to funding, and your pledge really makes a difference to the game actually coming to existence, that's completely different. But for campaigns like these that have been hugely successful, well over their goals every time, why bother joining in? Other than FOMO, why can't you wait? And that leads me on to Honeybuzz, really. Again, another game I've got absolutely stunning. I adore it. It's phenomenal to play as well. And again, initially this all stacks up nicely. You've got the Honeybuzz Deluxe Edition, $59 or more. They do have the add-on for the wooden player pieces, which I think is $20. So that's $79 plus shipping. And then getting into Full Flavors, which was the new expansion that was crowdfunded in the August. If you just wanted the deluxe expansion, you're looking at another $59. But again, there is the full colors expansion pieces, which is another that was the 25 one, so that's taking that up to $84. Or you can get it all for $179. Now it's still slightly cheaper, even with shipping, to have got the initial pledge and then the expansion pledge on this one, which is great. Again, bit of a reward. Obviously, if you've got Honeybuzz in retail or as a late pledge where it wasn't the initial $59, then you have lost out. You will be paying more. But the biggest issue for me is that in this Full Flavors campaign, and it's the main reason I didn't back it, is in the FAQ, will you be offering a big box storage solution so everything can fit in one box? We will not be offering a big box storage solution because we're planning to have at least one more large expansion. So that'll be a third campaign, a third lot of shipping. Will it still work out cheaper for those who have adopted earlier? Will this big box, as and when it hits, be a similar discount as the Everdell Collector's Edition? In which case, those who have backed the initial campaign and the subsequent expansion campaigns will be getting absolutely hammered. And it just... Fair enough with FOMO. Yeah, I get it. I've had issues with FOMO in the past, but at this point now, my collection, I've gone over the 100 games. I've still got another 30 plus that I'm waiting for. I don't need anything anymore. I want things, but I don't need things. I can afford to wait now. So it's at the point where I don't see any value in backing a base game only campaign anymore. And going to Alex Radcliffe's Board Game Co video, I'll link it down below, of the upcoming 2022 Kickstarters. And the main one for me is this. Townsfolk Tussle. Right at the top of the hype on Board Game Geek, rightly so. Phenomenal looking game. Game that I cannot wait to get in my hands. And again, therein lies the problem. Because UK are still a good few weeks away from fulfilling, so I still haven't got my copy of the game yet. Yet there's already an expansion announced for crowdfunding later this year. And again, it's like, well, unless it's going to be a significant discount for first backers, why? I mean, it's either going to be the case of it's going to cost more to get all of it then, which is going to annoy new adopters, or it's going to be more expensive to have backed the original, supported the game where they exceeded all their stretch goals because it was more successful than anticipated. Are they going to reward those backers and upset the new ones, or vice versa? Or is this the first of many expansions where, like Everdell, it's going to track and be fair and be fair and be fair, and then down the road they then announce a collector's edition which is hugely discounted and all the existing loyal backers are then slapped in the face? Again, this is just speculation and it's just my fears and worries. It's not got any grounding in reality as such as of yet. It's just going off the precedent set, particularly with Everdell, and quite often with many games that then come out with a big box down the line, it is always seemingly heavily discounted, particularly if they're like Vindication and things, if they release a lot of retail expansions and things that cost a lot more that people have found hard to get hold of, so have overpaid, and then they do an all-in Kickstarter like Vindication did last year, which was then significantly discounted, and those people again who have overpaid probably to get restricted, well not restricted, but items that are limited in retail, they're paying a huge amount more than the new adopters, and it just seems to be a trend and an understandable one from a business perspective, because you always want to try and get as many new people on board as you possibly can. But for me going forward, I just don't see any value of ever backing a campaign that's just a core game, because it's always a risk. There are no proper reviews, you don't know how long it's going to take, you're tying up your money in advance, and you're potentially paying more. If the game is good and is successful and justifies expansions, you almost certainly will be paying more than those who jump in 2, 3, 4 years down the line when the big box finally arrives. And given that there's no desperation for me anymore, it's a good thing for me because I can save my money now, but it just makes it hard for me to ever want to back anything like a Townsfolk Tussle, like a Honeybuzz, like an Everdell, a game that looks fantastic, but the campaign is only offering a base game. Roll Camera was another one. Roll Camera, one of Chris and my favourite games of this year. I think it got a 9 out of 10 from both of us, and then they did an expansion this autumn. I was hugely excited for it, and it was, by the time you add shipping and VAT on, well, I don't think I had VAT, but shipping on top of it, the expansion cost more than the base game, and it just wasn't viable for me. So it's something that I've only just really become aware of and frustrated by. But yeah, what do you people think? Is the ability to have the game earlier than everyone else worth potentially paying more? Or would you like to see more loyalty, more discounts for returning backers? Let me know. Who knows? I don't know if there's any right answer or wrong answer. Again, not condemning any of the companies involved or the games, because I'm talking about these games because I love Everdell, I love Honeybuzz, and I'm very, very excited for Townsfolk Tussle. It just does sting a bit when it looks like adopting these games early could hit you in the wallet when it probably shouldn't. But that's it for this video. Again, let me know what you think down below. But look after yourself, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye-bye now.